Okay, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a 1 in the live chat, and then we can get today's stream started. And as I'm waiting for the ones to come into the live chat as normal, please, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button. That's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, but most importantly, please make sure you follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. It is extremely important that you do that, and you can find my Telegram link in the description box below. It should have been pinned in the live chat, but I forgot to do that. But it's definitely in the description box below. And it will be pinned in the comment section once the stream ends. So now I see the ones are coming into the live chat so we can get today's show started. I want to do this first. Let's start out with this. I want to pull this up on the screen right now. I want to pull this woman on the screen right now. Professional liar and spin artist Karine Jean-Pierre. I want to take a moment to acknowledge at least a solid minute of her lying about Joe Biden not pardoning Hunter Biden. I want to take a solid minute to just acknowledge how much of a supreme liar that this woman is as we allow some more people to enter into the stream. So I want to play this right now, and let's just bask in all the lies of Karine Jean-Pierre.
But from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well,
I just said no. I just answered.
The president would not pardon or commute the sentence for his son, Hunter.
That outfit is horrible, by the way. Jesus.
I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
His son, Hunter, is also up for being sentenced next month. Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
President Biden says that he's not going to pardon his son, Hunter. Is he going to ask Donald Trump to do that?
I don't have anything else to share about that. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole on this. I've been very clear. The president's been very clear when we've been asked this question.
So, as you can see, she lied the entire time. But I don't think that any of us are actually surprised by this news, right? For the most part, none of us are actually genuinely surprised. At least I wasn't, by Biden pardoning Hunter, right? I figured that that was going to happen. I actually am more surprised at the reaction that has come from this pardon from those in the DNC, as well as those who are never Trumpers, right? Republicans who are never Trumpers. And I want to get into that and really highlight that more, as the stream goes along. But what I want to do is that I want to just read a few things off from this article here before we move forward, right? The announcement was made by the White House on Sunday night. The pardon applies to offenses against the U.S. that Hunter Biden has committed or may have committed from January 1st, 2014 to December 1st of 2024. I want to read this one more time because this is very important to understand and acknowledge that what Joe Biden is doing right now is attempting to protect Hunter from the Trump administration and the investigations, many investigations that are to come into the corruption of the United States government, right? The announcement was made by the White House on Sunday night. The pardon applies to offenses against the United States that Hunter Biden has committed or may have committed from January 1st of 2014 to December 1st of 2024. He's covering a 10-year gap to which Hunter Biden could find himself or could have found himself back in court for a host of corruption, right? Being a part of all type of corruption in between him and his father, and corruption that he's participating in on behalf of his father to put money in his father's pockets. And to highlight this point, and you can all see that I'm not just pulling this out of nowhere. CNN even admitted this themselves. They said this on CNN. So let's get into this clip right now.
Sort of came to a head.
Let me rewind it back just a little bit. The volume may be a little low, just a heads up so you know.
We were told that this sort of came to a head this weekend, and this is why President Biden decided now to do this. But as Isaac was just saying, that really is a sense of the conversation that has been going on really inside the family. And I'm told this has been very much a family discussion and something that has been not widely shared or discussed as a policy matter inside the West Wing. But there was a worry of future prosecutions or future potential of what the incoming Trump Justice Department could do. So that, of course, is freighted in all of this as well. But for now, this moment, this certainly is a decision that President Biden, I'm guessing, did not come to easily. But as you played that statement before, so much has changed since June when he told David Muir of ABC News that he would not do that. Of course, his station in life has changed. He will not be a second-term president, did not complete his campaign. So that is why, sort of leading up to this, that's why I'm told a decision was reached finally this weekend after spending time together in Nantucket.
Yeah, and he said he didn't want to delay it further.
Now, I want to come back here. I didn't want to interrupt it while I was in the middle of playing, but I want us to listen to this part. Well, I'll just start it from the beginning, but we're not going to listen to the whole thing. There's something very specific that I want you all to hear.
We were told that this sort of came to a head this weekend, and this is why President Biden decided now to do this. But as Isaac was just saying, that really is a sense of the conversation that has been going on really inside the family. And I'm told this has been very much a family discussion and something that has been not widely shared or discussed as a policy matter inside.
He said this was a family discussion and not something that was widely discussed as a policy matter. Biden didn't discuss this with anybody in the administration. Based off what I'm hearing here, he didn't discuss this with any of them. This was something that was 100% internal to the Biden crime family. They sat at the round table and discussed it and said, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. Or I should say, me as president, this is what I'm going to do. And they discussed it as a family. He didn't discuss it with his staff. And he didn't discuss it with the administration overall, based off of what we're hearing here on CNN. I think that's something that's also very important to point out. They were looking out for and protecting themselves and protecting the Biden name and the Biden family from future investigations that would have come down by the Trump administration. That's what this is really all about. Now, what I want to do, that I want to jump back into this article here, because there's a few other things that I want to read before we move on to the next portion of the stream concerning, a lot of politicians' reaction to this, right? So here's some excuses that came from Biden. I'm not going to go through all of them because I'm sure many of you have heard them already, but Biden stated in the note and letter that he wrote and sent out to the public, today I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. Biden wrote in a statement, from the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. The president went on to claim that his son was treated differently by prosecutors. He was not. Your son is a degenerate, and that's why he found himself in the position that he was in. But I digress. Biden stated, without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form, Biden added. Oh, really? You mean like falsifying documents, right? No one's ever brought up on felony charges for falsifying documents. Is that what Biden is saying now? Kind of like what we saw with Trump and like what we all stated and what was obvious with Trump, with the lawfare that happened and the, 33 or 34 counts and felony charges of falsifying documents that charges that you would never get, Trump would have never gotten unless they're connected to a greater crime. The same thing with what Biden is trying to explain here now, right? But what's fair for Trump is unfair for Biden. Once again, going back to the falsifying of documents with Trump, as far as those charges were concerned, that's never elevated to a felony, ever, unless it's connected to a greater crime, to which then the falsifying of documents are just extra little ticky-tack charges that you're adding on to really throw the book at the individual who committed said crime. But if it's not connected to a greater crime, then at best, you're looking at a misdemeanor and you pay a fine. There are no felony charges. You're not going to court, anything of that nature. So I just found it very ironic that Biden would state this here, in light of what we just saw with Donald Trump pre-election, with the lawfare that took place. That was being pushed forward, in my opinion, by the Biden crime family, right? And once again, that's just in my opinion. That's just me speculating for the censorship police out there. I'm not saying that as a point of fact. But now what I want to do is get into this next article right here, because like I said, I wasn't really surprised over the pardon. I knew that was going to happen. I think we all knew and understood that that would happen, right? But I am actually surprised at the reaction. That's what I am surprised of. The Colorado governor came out, Jared Polis, who we all know is a Democrat, right? And he loves illegal immigrants and is harboring them in his state, is seemingly not going to collaborate with Trump on removing the criminal element of the illegal immigrant population from his state. He actually came out against Biden, right? And blasted Biden. Other Democrats have as well, right? Even never Trumper rhinos, as some people would say. Check this out here. Colorado Democrat Governor Jared Polis blasted President Biden's pardon on his son Hunter, saying Sunday that Biden put his family ahead of the country and that the move would tarnish his reputation. I think we can all agree that Biden's reputation was already in the trash. While as a father, I certainly understand President Joe Biden's natural desire to help his son by pardoning him. I am disappointed that he put his family ahead of the country, Paulus 49 tweeted. I find it interesting that he's using that rhetoric as well concerning you put your family ahead of the country. And I find that particularly interesting because people like him, Democrats overall, they don't care about the country. Okay, let's just be honest. And he's kind of using the language concerning country first, America first. He's kind of tippy-toeing around and trying to adopt the language of what some would say is conservative, right? And Republicans. It seems like that's actually what he's trying to do, which doesn't surprise me, because as it pertains to the DNC, how they're going to operate moving forward, at least how they're going to attempt to operate as it pertains to media. We see that the Los Angeles Times came out and said they're going to add more conservative voices, right? Washington Post came out and said the same thing. You have the people at ABC News, executives that have gotten together and have met up, right? They've met up in order to discuss how they're going to move forward by possibly adding more conservative voices. The same way that you have Scott Jennings on CNN, you might see that more on ABC. You have a lot of people within the DNC, and particularly on the media side, where they're trying to figure things out on how to move forward in the face of the bloodbath that was the presidential election of 2024, right? So there's going to be a lot of those who are DNC attempting to adopt the talking points, right, of those who are conservative, America First and MAGA. They're going to try to adopt those talking points. And that's actually, in my opinion, what we're seeing here with Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado. The article continues to read, and I quote, this is a bad precedent that could be abused by later presidents and will sadly tarnish his reputation. When you become president, your role is paterfamilias of the nation, if I said that right. I want to scroll down just a little bit, but this Washington Post article has like a lot of wild looking thumbnails or whatever for the articles that they're promoting. So I just want to take a moment to scroll down without the article on the screen, because they did this. the photos associated with some of these articles are a bit wild. Yeah, I need to, Jesus. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Give me just a second. And while I'm doing this, just please do me a favor and hit the like button if you haven't already. Share the video out and subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Okay, now I'm going to bring this back on screen so I can read the rest of this article, right? So here it goes. So, and I quote, give me just a second. Paulus added, Hunter brought the legal trouble he faced on himself. And one can sympathize with his struggles while also acknowledging that no one is above the law, not a president, not a president's son, which is what he stated, right? Now I'm going to drag this off the screen just one more time. This is actually very annoying that I have to keep doing this, but just in case YouTube wants to be stupid, I need to drag this off the screen one more time because, like I said, the photos that they have associated with some of these articles here on the Washington Post is a bit much. It's a bit much for YouTube. Okay, so I'll bring it back on the screen, and here we go. And let's hurry up and wrap this article up because there's a couple more videos that I want to get into that I want to share with you guys as well. So this continues to read. The first son, 54, was convicted in June of a trio of gun felonies and plead guilty in September of 2014. Or excuse me, let's start over. The first son, 54, was convicted in June of a trio of gun felonies and pled guilty in September to $1.4 million in tax fraud on income from Chinese and Ukraine relationships in which he repeatedly involved his father. Very interesting. Very interesting. It looks like he won't have to worry about that stuff catching up with him with the Trump administration in play now with this pardon here as well. Representative Greg Stanton, Democrat, stated this. Stanton contradicted Biden's claim in his pardon statement that his son had been the victim of selective prosecution. And I quote, I respect President Biden, but I think he got this wrong. Stanton said, this wasn't a politically motivated prosecution. Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers. These are Democrats coming out against Biden and saying this, by the way, once again, they're Democrats doing this. And what you have to understand is that what Joe Biden did with this pardon and why you're seeing a lot of people on the left are so upset is that this messes up the play and the talking points that they had set to the side for Donald Trump if he attempts to pardon J6ers. Now you can't come out here and cry like babies and pretend that by Biden pardoning or by Trump pardoning J6ers that you want to make it seem like he's pardoning a bunch of members of like ISIS or something like that, right? It completely spits in the face of all that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that MSNBC and those on CNN aren't going to continue to make an effort to pretend like it's the end of the world because J6ers were pardoned. But once again, you really destroy that argument that Trump is doing a horrible thing by pardoning J6ers in the face of this. The argument that no one is above the law. Well, clearly, if your name is Hunter Biden, or you're an illegal immigrant, then you are, right? So all the arguments that they would make against Trump and J6ers have now essentially gone out the window and won't apply anymore because Trump can always point back to this and say, hey, this guy was actually a felon committing crimes as a degenerate, right? So you're not going to sit here and say that he can get pardoned, but these folks who many of which just simply, walked into the Capitol, right? They just simply walked in. We're not speaking about the ones that actually were beating up on police, but those who were brought up on charges and placed in jail for simply being sheep and walking into a building that was now already open. A lot of these guys got body slammed with football numbers. And the reality is that they shouldn't be in jail, right? But you got a guy who should be in jail in Hunter Biden who won't be in jail. It's going to be a tough argument to make when they try to use the fear-mongering spinning machine. They try to use the fear-mongering against Trump. when he pardons J6ers, if that does happen. Now, what I want to do is that I want to take a moment to play some of what Karine Jean-Pierre had to say, because as it pertains to, you know, spinning things, right? Karine Jean-Pierre did put out a statement concerning why she lied. I shouldn't say why she lies. She doesn't acknowledge that she lies, but she's going to try to justify Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden. So I want to get into this clip right now. There's a lot of background noise in this video clip here because apparently I guess she was outside or whatever. But I'm going to play this right now for you, and let's listen to what she had to say.
Repeatedly yourself since the election.
Let me start that over from the top.
You have said repeatedly yourself since the election. The president has said for months no pardon was coming. I wanted to ask you, could those statements now be seen as lies from the American people? Is there really a credibility issue here given now this announcement?
First of all, one of the things that the president always believes is to be truthful to the American people. That is something that he always truly believes. And if you see the end of his, I assume that you've read his statement, and you look at the end of that statement, and he actually says that in the first line in the last paragraph, and respects the thinking and how the American people will actually see this in his decision making. And I would encourage everyone to read in full the president's statement. I think he lays out his thought process. He lays out how he came to this decision. He came to this decision this weekend. So let's be very clear about that. He says it himself. It's in his voice. He said he came to this decision this weekend. And he said he wrestled with this. And because he believes in the justice system, but he also believes that the war politics infected the process and led to a miscarriage of justice.
The war politics led to the miscarriage of justice. The guy, Hunter, is a degenerate dope head. To keep things a little bit clean for YouTube, he's a degenerate hype that conducted himself in a degenerate manner that led to multiple felonies. None of this was political warfare that happened to Hunter Biden. It was just him being a degenerate and getting caught up in the fact that he's a degenerate. Okay, that's literally what this was. Now what I want to do is that I also want to play this clip here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this representative here, he is a Republican, a never Trumper. And I just want you to listen to how upset these guys are over this. Because like I said, prior to this video that I'm going to play right now, this kind of really messes up the plays that they had moving forward from now until 2028 as it pertains to rhetoric surrounding Trump potentially pardoning J6ers, right? This completely destroys it. And I just want you to listen to how upset this guy is.
What do you make of all of this? What is likely to be the response on Capitol Hill to this breaking news?
Good to be with you. See, I told you so. They're all like that. So the next time any of us complain about anything Trump does, this pardon is just deflating. For those of us who have been out there for a few years now yelling about what a unique threat Donald Trump is, for Joe Biden to do something like this, Trump, nobody's above the law, we've been screaming. Well, Joe Biden just made clear his son Hunter is above the law. Donald Trump lies every time he opens his mouth, we've been screaming. Joe Biden repeatedly lied about this. The politicization of the justice system, Donald Trump and his people have been screaming. Well, that's exactly what Biden said here.
Joe, is this a politics of purity? I mean, we had Donald Trump pardon Sheriff Joe Arpaio during his term, and there wasn't a lot of hue and cry about that. I mean,
so we have MSNBC being MSNBC. That's why I'm silencing her out slowly, because we all know that she's going to put the cape on for Biden and Hunter, right? We all know that that's what they do at MSDNC. I don't even know why they still go under the name MSNBC when they should be called MSDNC. But what I do want to do is kind of let her talk herself out for a little bit because she says some things that are a little bit triggering to the YouTube algorithm also, until we can get back to the gentleman here speaking, to which I think he's ready to speak now.
Also, the president would do this for his son?
I don't know that people will be surprised, because you're right. Joe Biden repeatedly said he wouldn't do this. So he repeatedly lied. But this just furthers the cynicism that people have about politics. And that cynicism strengthens Trump, because Trump can just say, I'm not a unique threat. Everybody does this. If I do something for my kid, my son-in-law, whatever, look, Joe Biden does the same thing. I get it, but this was a selfish move by Biden, which politically only strengthens Trump. It's just deflating.
And that's what I was saying earlier, right? This was a very selfish move, you can say, by Biden on his behalf, right? As far as the DNC is concerned, it was a very selfish move. Because like I said, he messed up a lot of plans that they had moving forward for Trump as it pertains to rhetoric surrounding J6ers. Once again, you can throw the whole Trump is a 34, 33 times felon out the window. Nobody wants to hear that anymore when a genuine felon in Hunter Biden has now been set free by his father, who is president of the United States. Clearly, once again, he is definitely above the law. Hunter Biden alongside with the illegal immigrant population. But now what I want to do in closing is that I want to come over here, right? I want to transition over here because coming off of the heels of the pardon, Donald Trump hinted at a mass pardon of January 6ers, right? So I want to get into this right now. And somebody had put in the chat, didn't the J6ers get a slap on the wrist? No. A lot of them got body slammed with crazy numbers that didn't really make sense. Once again, now when you're talking about those who are actually like beating up on the police and busting them upside the head and stuff like that, I got nothing for you. You know, you were actually putting hands and feet on people, which is wild. But as far as the rest of those who like entered into the Capitol building like silly sheep, you know, once the doors were open, a lot of them got hit with like felony charges and they're doing time and shouldn't be doing time. And even to the degree that they're not doing time, you still got something on your record that kind of really shouldn't be on your record. You know what I mean? That makes it harder for you to get work and all that kind of stuff. So Trump is possibly looking at pardoning these people. President-elect Donald Trump hinted at mass pardons for defendants tied to the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot, with his team vowing he would also overhaul the Democrat-controlled Department of Justice a little more than an hour after President Biden pardoned his son Hunter Sunday night. Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages? He's putting extra sauce on it. I want to read that again. Does the pardon given by Joe, I don't know why I found that funny. He said the J6 hostages. Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages? That's definitely one way to look at it, who have now been in prison for years. Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice, Trump posted on Truth Social. And I agree with him. This is a huge abuse and miscarriage of justice, especially when you had the president and his professional like Karine Jean-Pierre say multiple times over, swear up and down that they wouldn't pardon Hunter. And now here we are. The 45th president, who won back the White House last month, floated pardons during his campaign for more than 1,500 defendants, either still facing trial or those already convicted for breaching the Capitol as Congress was voting to certify Biden's 2020 election win over Trump. The article continues to read, Jesus Christ, these little thumbnails here. The failed witch hunts against President Trump have been proven that the Democrat-controlled DOJ and other radical prosecutors are guilty of weaponizing the justice system, Trump spokesman Steve Chung said in a statement. And this is a true statement. And I want to read it one more time in closing, actually. The failed witch hunts against President Trump have proven that the Democratic-controlled DOJ and other radical prosecutors are guilty of weaponizing the justice system. And the fact that we witness Biden interfere with the system of justice to pardon his son, who was a genuine felon, even goes on to highlight this point even more. It highlights that point even more. And once again, in closing, that wide gap of time, the 10-year window from 2014 to 2024, Biden pardoned him for over a decade of time so that Hunter cannot get charged with any crimes within that 10-year window. And I'm sure within that 10-year window was a time frame of everything surrounding Hunter Biden's laptops and the emails and everything surrounding, all the exchanging of money and business dealings that Hunter had with those who are leaders of China and Ukraine, to which that money would come back around to the pockets of Joe Biden. Allegedly that is, but I guess now we'll never know. Maybe we will find these things out to be true, but one thing is for sure, Hunter's not going to get charged with anything. Hunter's not getting charged with a thing. So with all that being said, I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. And what I want to do now is that I want to take a moment to acknowledge those who showed support to the channel, because without you guys, I do not exist. Shout out to my man Saul, who always keep my family fed. That dude Saul, he says it's a background check, but Dems call it a gun form. Pay attention to how Dems act like a background check doesn't exist, especially when it comes to illegal immigration. That's for sure. My man Saul ran it back again. He said Joe Biden didn't want to separate families. No, he didn't want that separation of family. He definitely didn't want that. He didn't want that. Dana Mitchell said, oh, he didn't say anything. Dana just held me down, with $50. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And IET 1791 said, let our MAGA people go. Trump is going to get in office. What is it? January 20th. He's going to take his staff and part the DNCC and said, let our MAGA people go. He's going to set all the MAGA people free. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for joining me today, man. Once again, hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media channels. Follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. And shout out to Tamisha Williams with the last minute buzzer beater super sticker. I appreciate you, Tamisha. Thank you very much for the support, and thank you all for supporting me. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace and have a great afternoon.